What's good, everybody? My name is Sydney Baker Green, and I have been receiving a ton of compliments on Instagram from the color grading I did on the test footage of the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. So I have made available for purchase the LUTs that I use, and I'm going to show you the techniques that I use in Premiere Pro so that you guys can color grade all of this footage in less than 5 minutes. The link to my LUT pack is down below, but we all know why you're here. So let's get right into the tutorial. But first, cue intro. Alright guys, so we're here at my desktop, but you know I like to keep it real. Nobody's desktop is this clean. So let's go ahead and show those icons and jump right over into Premiere Pro. Now you see I have all these clips lined up for this tutorial, but one of the things I like to do when I'm color grading is I like to have my black bars already on there so I can see what the final product will look like. You can simply do that by going over to your effects tab up here, going into crop, and then adding it to this adjustment layer that I've placed on top of here. And you can see what happens when you just add 10% to the top and the bottom values. It gives you those nice black bars. So what I do to make sure that my coloring effects don't get applied to this adjustment layer is I simply lock it so that it no longer has any control in the timeline. So let's go over to our first clip here. So you can see we have a nice even exposure. If we look at the Lumetri color scopes, it's nice and even. We have nice tonal range all throughout there and a nice color range as well. And I've designed all of these LUTs to be one click so that you can get a nice clean look and then move on to the next clip if you want to, or if you want to be a little bit more creative, I've designed it so that you can do everything you want to do within 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and head over into our Lumetri color tab. We're going to go to basic correction, input LUT, and we're going to select the SPG clean slate LUT. And you can see right here, this is a perfectly fine look. Now we are shooting at golden hour, so we have the opportunity to be a little bit more creative. So all you have to do, let's say you want to make it look like it's actually a nice orange sunset, but you want to keep those blues in the water, you're simply going to add a nice orangey red to your midtones. I'm going to stop about right there. And we still have those blues in the water, but what we can also do is we can add just a little bit of blues in the highlights, a little bit of teal, and a little bit of teal in the shadows. Now you can see what this looks like right here. We took the SPG clean slate LUT and applied a little bit of a color correction to it in less than 5 minutes, and it gives you a nice teal orange look which mimics a golden hour. And you can get a little bit more extreme if you want to, which I probably would, to just make sure that I have that nice orangey look. So you can see here we kept those blues in the water. They're not as blue, but it still looks great. Now let's move on to our next clip. Here we have a shot of the water, and when I shot this I really wanted to have the highlight of the sun that reflects on the water, but I want to have a nice even exposure around there. So I set up that camera angle, I captured what I wanted, and you can see when we go into input LUT, we browse and add that SPG clean slate LUT, it gives us a nice look. Now again, we are shooting at sunset, so you can give that sun a little bit of an orange tone to it if you'd like, by coming down into the color wheels tab and simply adding a nice orange to the highlight. A nice orange. You don't want to go too red because it's going to turn it purple. And you can see there that that kind of affected the blueness of our water, so we can simply add a little bit of a deep blue back into it in the shadows tab, just a smidge. You can see here that we still got that nice look in less than 5 minutes. Now moving on to our next clip, we have a top-down view. But you can see here that our exposure is really even. So when we're working with this water, it's gonna be hard to get that nice sunset creative look that we were going for because the colors can get confused when we're using the color match wheel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use another tab called HSL. So let's go through our process again. You import your LUT, add the SPG clean slate LUT to it. Again, a perfectly fine look. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna add orange to the shadows. We're gonna add blue to those midtones. And we're gonna add orange into our highlights. Now what we're gonna do here, because this is a little bit of a desaturated look, we're gonna add in a little bit of saturation. That way we get some of that color back. Now our water still isn't as blue as it possibly could be. So I'm gonna tweak this just a little bit. Make sure we get those nice orange tones in there. Those trees. You can take a look at that. We've gone from those blue trees to those orangier trees. Now we're gonna go into the HSL tab and we're gonna turn on color gray. We know where our water is, so we're just gonna start adding that in there. So you use this little plus eyedropper and you simply go as much as you can to get as much of that water in there without the trees. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna subtract the trees from that now. We're gonna subtract this little area right here to the best of our abilities. And if we make any mistakes like that, we can simply undo it with using Control Z or Command Z on a Mac. And again, that's a mistake, so it looks like that's about as good as we're gonna get. Let's see if we can take any more of these trees out. That's still too much for what I wanna do. But just try to get in there and see how much of it you can get out. Again, you can do this all in less than 5 minutes. Now you're gonna wanna add that back in. All right, now we're gonna go in here and we're gonna denoise it. We're gonna blur it. Turn off color gray. Now we can change the temperature of our water to make it a little bit bluer. And we can add some of those blues back down in there. And you can see that right there, it gave us that nice look. Now that can be considered unnatural. So you can simply move it around a bit. And I probably say right there is good, so you can see the effect that we had without it. The effect that we have with it, we made very minimal change to our trees. If you just want to go back in and make sure that those trees do stay orange, you can just counteract that a little bit right here. And so again here, we have that mucky, muddy water to a nice blue water, and everything still looks pretty natural. Now let's say that you don't have the luxury of shooting at sunset. This clip was taken at high noon. Now, generally when we watch movies and we get those cinematic looks, we understand that sometimes those high noon looks are a little bit more creative. So what I'm gonna do is you can still use the SVG LUT here. So go in here, add that clean slate LUT, and you can see here, to me, it's just a little bit too cool. Now this is a perfectly fine look. You can tell here that we are cutting off some of our greens down in here in those shadows area. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, lift those shadows up. Not too much, but just enough, so that they're not quite getting clipped off as much as they were. And you can see we have a little bit more of a tonal range here, but I do not like those blue trees, so we're gonna warm it up a bit. Now this look is completely fine. It kind of reminds me of a small town look in one of those older movies that you'll get, or actually in the newer movies too with the color grading. You generally have this nice warmer tone, but I don't like this road, even though it's perfectly fine. I mean, you can come off, take off the LUT. You can see this is a perfectly fine look. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of teal, those highlights, to get rid of that and to keep those nice shadows warm. And add a warm look to it. So now that we've done that, you can see we have this nice looking road and we have these warmer shadows. And you can simply go in here and add a little bit more saturation to it if you'd like. If you're going for that nice joyful look, this is a perfectly fine look, or you can go back and it does look a little bit more cinematic. So you can see with this LUT pack and the way that it's designed, it makes the process super simple when you're going through editing all your footage, and it can give you a nice consistent look. If we're gonna keep it simple and you wanna make sure that you definitely have a consistent look, we'll go through, we'll undo all these effects, and we'll simply go through again and add the SVG Clean Slate LUT to all of them. And you can see that the look that's produced with each one of these images gives you consistency throughout your color grading. Only thing here is because this is so different, I add a little bit of exposure here, maybe bring down those highlights just a smidge. You can see here, everything looks nice and consistent throughout all of these clips. Anyway guys, I thank you so much for watching this video. Again, you can grab yourself a copy of these LUTs in my store. The link is in the description box down below. Anyway guys, I thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I gave you some insight on how to color grade your drone footage and how these LUTs make your life super simple and quick and give you a nice consistent cinematic look throughout your entire process. Please feel free to leave a comment down below on how you would color grade with these LUTs, how you have, or make a video. And give me constructive criticism. I love taking in input because as a creator, I am always learning. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to give me a big thumbs up. Be sure to share it with all of your cinematographer friends, especially your friends who make drone videos, so that they can also have these resources as well. Be sure to follow me on my social media links, my Twitter, my Facebook, and my Instagram, where you guys can stay up to date with me and get to know me a little bit more personally. I really enjoy having my community grow. Remember guys, every day airplanes take off against the wind. Live, love, laugh, stay inspired, and as always, stay fabulous. My name is Cindy Baker Green. Peace out! Yee yee! I'm so stupid, you guys know.